without further ado, that is what we are going to do. Parasites, blood pressure, hi, hello. How are you doing? I hope that you're having a good day today. Hope that everybody watching is having a good day today. It was super hot in Colorado today. It was about 95, I think, Colorado today. Just sucked. I'm a big guy. I don't like 95-degree weather. It's not my thing. It's not where I thrive. I prefer winter, and not this fucking death hot bullshit. Austin 37. Well, it's been a while. It has. I don't stream as much as I usually like to, because I just run out of time. But with NFL season coming up, I've handed off a couple things to a couple people. Like JT in the community is now running the esports stuff. Zach has his like other things he does as well, and so I have a little bit more free time to handle some streams. So happy to do that. Happy to do this one today, of course, because I really do enjoy the first look that we have at NFL. Franchise 410 pregame before my main league auction. Oh, dude, cool. Auction leagues are so much fun. I think that auction leagues are the best format, honestly. If I was going to be doing season-long stuff, then I would like to play... I'd like to play auctions for sure. Yeah, Kitty. Yeah, he's Bubby. You making some biscuits? Just going at it down there. Just absolutely making biscuits like it's his job. All right. Austin 37, can we talk about XLOOKUP versus VLOOKUP? I never expected that to be a trigger. So, VLOOKUP is the most annoying thing in the world. I actually hate VLOOKUP. And unfortunately, I have to use it when I do Google Live or when I do like sheets on Excel Live documents because they don't have XLOOKUP. Bam, biscuit maker. Damn straight, baby. Little biscuit maker back there. Got to preheat the oven. He's putting biscuits in the oven. But no, I'd love to use XLOOKUP on most things. Also, I use VLOOKUP in a lot of things on my front-facing models simply because there are subscribers that don't have fully updated Excel, and VLOOKUP only works on their machines. XLOOKUP does not. So I use VLOOKUP on a lot of things, but XLOOKUP on my own formulas. Yancey, my boy. Dude, I'm so happy you came in. Just came for the picks. Who is a sleeper? Need to try to take down the Million Maker. I'm going to lose my home. So first off, the sleeper is going to be the person who you least expect to do well. So just play people that you think sucks. And if you need to take down the Million Maker to not lose your home, I question how big your home is. How big of a home do you live in, Yancey? I mean, is it massive? Is it so big that you need $1 million to save your house? I feel like a reasonable mortgage that you've been paying on, you're probably not going to lose it if you don't win the Million Maker. Just take down the $9, like take down the slant, and then you can save your home. Absolutely franchise. Coachy NA, Sammy D. Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right. Let's jump into things a little bit here. Let's jump into things. So here we have got the Draftkings pulled up on the thing. So let's take a look at this. 13-game slate. Let's see. Eagles are going to play the Falcons, so probably people are going to be on Jalen Hurts, right? Because everybody thinks that the Falcons' defense is just like literally the worst. Steelers versus the Bills. That game on paper should be fun, right? I mean, if the Steelers are going to be a team that wants to pass a decent amount of the time, Bills obviously are a team that pass a lot, have a top 5 in terms of adjusted passing rate last year. So the Bills should be in a pretty good spot there. I do wonder, actually, if the Bills are going to come in under-owned just because people perceive the Steelers as a good defense. The Vikings versus the Bengals, that game should be fun, depending on if the Vikings are able to get out to a lead. If the Bengals get out to a lead, that game should be a lot of fun. Justin Jefferson it could be in a really, really good spot if he comes in under-owned against a Bengals team that should be a lot more fun. Like the Bengals should actually be pretty decent this year if everybody is healthy and Burrow snaps back correctly. So that game could be more fun than the Vegas implied total shows. I assume that game has pretty low over/under, I would guess. Let's see. It's Legend 380. Sup James would be able to make the DK screen a little bigger. Yeah, I would. How's that? Actually, I feel like I could probably zoom in a little bit too. No, actually I can't. I cannot do anything more than that. So that is the best that I can do, I think. I am sorry. But you guys can still hear my voice, and this is a little bit bigger. So, 49ers and the Lions. Man, that game will suck. Like, that game is going to suck. So, the 49ers running backs are going to be in a good spot. The Detroit Lions should just be an absolute fucking train wreck this year. I can't imagine that they're going to be a good team this year. 49ers just want to be able to run the ball anyway. They're one of the highest suggested run rates in the league. So I don't think that's going to change much. 49ers in a good spot to just win that game handily. I would probably guess that 49ers defense is going to be one of the highest on the slate. Cardinals and Titans. So that game should be fun. I would guess the Tennessee passing game is probably going to be relatively underowned compared to a couple other spots on this slate. Like, I would think that the Cardinals probably, like DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, is going to be more owned than Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown would be my guess. But that game should be high-flying. Unless the Cardinals just absolutely suck and the Titans can just run all over them, that game should be pretty good. Seahawks and Colts. Colts, I don't know what the fuck to make of them. That's just I think they're a bad team. I think that the Colts are a bad team, but I'm not entirely sure at all. Seahawks we know the Seahawks are good. We know that the Seahawks can be one of the best stacks in DFS if they actually need to pass the ball. So the question there really, do you think that the Lions are a good enough team, or do you think that the Colts are a good enough team to be competitive with the Seahawks? And if they are, then the Seahawks are probably going to be a pretty decent stack. But the question is, how do you even use the Colts? If it's going to be the same team they were last year where they spread the ball around a lot and they don't like to feature any one individual receiver, like, I don't know. That's going to be a weird game. I don't think that's going to be a good game for DFS, honestly. Chargers and Washington football team. So this is a really interesting one. I have heard pretty much all offseason that the Washington football team has the best defense in football, and they arguably did in 2020. I can see the argument for that. But we know that the R2 for defenses year over year is actually really, really low, and most defenses that are really, really good one year end up regressing back towards the league average and the medians the next year. So I have a lot of interest in the Chargers as of now. We'll see how pricing looks, but I think the Chargers are probably in a pretty good spot there and are going to come in way under-owned because people don't want to attack the Washington football team because they think they're a really, really good defense. So I could have a lot of interest in the Chargers, just depending on ownership and stuff like that. And the other good part about that, right, is that you can bring it back with Terry McLaurin, or you can bring it back with Logan Thomas or something like that. I think that there's a lot of upside in stacking that game that I don't think people are going to stack. Austin 37, Lions, TE, and Jamal Williams. I don't know, man. I think the Lions are just going to be a really bad team. Well, one thing that I like to avoid, and I'm going to kind of come off my screen here for a sec, but one thing that I like to avoid most of the time in the season is stacking bad teams and, like, using players from bad teams. Because it just hardly ever pays off. Like, even if you end up getting, like, all of the production, like, say that you use the Lions tight end, whoever it is, Hawkinson, right? Yes. Say that you use Hawkinson, and he ends up getting all of the production for the Lions, but, like, the Lions are just such a fucking dumpster fire that all of the production equates to, like, 90 yards and a touchdown on, like, 5 receptions or something like that. It's very, very likely that he is still outscored by somebody else at his position. And, like, with running backs, don't play running backs on teams that are going to be implied to score, like, nothing and are implied to just get the shit kicked out of them. Those are two pretty easy rules. Like, I don't like stacking bad teams unless it's in a spot where, like, game flow can be really good for them, and I think that they can be effective enough to score points. And two, like, don't play running backs on teams that are just projected to just get shit canned. Because the offense is just not going to be there for them to end up scoring enough fantasy points to be relevant, even at a cheap price. Like, say that you have Jamal Williams at, I don't know what he's priced at, but 4,200 or something like that. And the Lions are only implied to score like 13 real-life points and are 10-point underdogs in that spot. Not saying that they are. I haven't seen lines yet, but where do you think his production comes from? Do you really think that he's going to end up with like 7 receptions for 60 yards and like 40 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns? I don't. Because that means that you are assuming that he is going to score literally all of the points for the Lions with an implied total of just 13. There's just better ways to go about things. So playing running backs on teams that are projected to be very, very bad and are projected to lose the game very, very badly, typically something that you want to avoid, especially in GPPs. The ceiling is just not great. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. The Jets and the Panthers. Panthers have been interesting in the preseason, right? So, like, Sam Darnold has actually looked pretty decent, but he has had a really, really low yards per catch or yards per throw, yards per completion, whatever. And his ADOT has been super duper low. So I'm not sure that the Panthers are actually in that much better of a spot. But it is against his former team, the Jets, and if he wants to show out against a team that likely like shortened his career and made him look worse, just like maybe he's worth a damn. I don't know. The Panthers do have weapons. I'm sure that Christian McCaffrey is going to be exceptionally popular. Hopefully he's priced correctly, somewhere around like 9K, 10K. The Jets, I don't know how to feel about the Jets yet. I'm very likely not going to care about the Jets for 3 weeks or something like that, just because we don't know who they are. Corey Davis looked very good in preseason when he was playing. The offense looked competent, I suppose, like in the preseason, but I try not to take preseason too much into account. The Jets are still a really bad team. It's still a really bad franchise. The Panthers very likely don't want to try to like go crazy against the Jets. I don't think they care. So I'm going to assume the over-under in this game is pretty low, and I don't think that I'm really going to care too much about it. It depends on the pricing, of course. Like, maybe the pricing is pretty good, and maybe I want some Darnold stacks, but probably not. Yancey, very well explained, James. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it, especially coming from a legend like yourself. Jaguars and Texans. Fucking gross, dude. Just fucking gross team. Just a disgusting game. Just vomits. I throw up everywhere. The Texans should be very likely expected to win like 2 games this year. Going to be one of the worst teams in the league by a long shot. The Jaguars, I don't know if the Jaguars are going to be good. It kind of seems like Urban Meyer's an idiot. So if Urban Meyer is an idiot, then I don't know how good they're going to be for us for DFS. They already brought in Tavon Austin, apparently, to take Travis Etienne's snaps and eat into James Robinson's role. So I don't know. Jaguars look like they might be okay. It just kind of depends. If you think that Trevor Lawrence is really, really good, Jaguars might be pretty good. They do have options. They do have Shark. They do have Laviska Shenault, who I don't necessarily think is all that good, but other people seem to think is good. So there's reasons to like the Jaguars for sure. I don't know if I'm sold on them as a team, and I think that Urban Meyer actually might be an idiot. So that's a little worrisome. But yeah, James Robinson smash game. I agree. Like, I think that I don't know. I haven't looked at the prices yet, so we're gonna look at the prices here in a sec. But if James Robinson is anything over like 7K, I probably don't want that much of him. 7K and less, I'm probably going to be into James Robinson. But I think he's going to be heavy chalk. Like, James Robinson should be, by all means, one of the highest owned players on the slate up against Texans, if touts have any backbone at all. Jags seem like a value week 1. No, I don't know yet. We're going to see. Proxima Rips, Darnold, Robbie Anderson revenge game. Yeah, I know, exactly. I do think, like, there's a reason to think that Darnold and Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore is a good stack for week 1 for the Panthers. I think that is a fair way to go about it. The only question then is, like, if you think that is going to work out, then what do you think CMC is going to do? Like, what do you think Christian McCaffrey is going to do? And if Christian McCaffrey is going to be one of the highest owned running backs, then maybe there is a lot more reason to take a Darnold and Panthers passing attack and just hope they get all of their production through the air rather than through Christian McCaffrey. But they utilize Christian McCaffrey in so many ways that, I don't know, that seems kind of foolhardy. So I don't know yet. Oh, yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be wildly chalky, for sure. It's first slate of the NFL season. He's one of the most popular players in the NFL. He'll be super chalky. Browns and Chiefs. This game should be fun. I haven't taken a look at the pricing yet. I will soon. But the Chiefs, obviously, in a pretty good spot, even if the Browns want to kind of like slow and grind it out. This seems like a pretty good spot where you could stack up the Chiefs and bring it back with OBJ. You could stack up the Browns and bring it back with Travis Kelce, which is something that I really like doing. When a team is facing the Chiefs, bringing it back with Travis Kelce instead of Tyreek Hill allows you to take care of the priority position of tight end as well as doing a bring back stack. So there's a lot of different ways to attack this one. This game should be fun to stack. I assume the Vegas line has the over-under over 50 for this one, so that game should be fun. Dolphins and Patriots. I don't have a read on either one of these teams yet. I think Tua is probably better than he was last year. I think that Mack Jones probably makes the Patriots offense a little bit better for real life and DFS because it's probably better for Belichick to have a QB like Mack Jones. Will either one of these teams be DFS relevant? I don't know yet. I don't think so. I don't think either one of the backfields is going to be relevant, and I don't know that either team is going to have a feature wide receiver that you can really focus on in DFS either. So I certainly don't see this one being like a high-scoring affair. I'm going to guess that the over-under on it is somewhere around like the 40s, maybe 40, 41, 42 at the most. Probably lower than that. I don't know. We'll see. But this game, it doesn't interest me as of now. Green Bay Packers and New Orleans Saints. This game should be a fucking party, dude. Like, look at me. A fucking party, dude. This game should be a party. I mean, Devontae Adams and who is it? Marquez Callaway, whoever the hell it is, that's been just like lighting it up for the Saints. We know that Jameis Winston is the QB for the Saints now, so like that actually helps a lot in terms of their upside. So there's a lot of ways to go with this Packers Saints game. I'm likely going to have a lot of interest in it, depending on the pricing of Devontae Adams and the pricing of the auxiliary options available. And then the Broncos-Giants. This game is kind of like sneaky. I think that Daniel Jones is actually a really good DFS quarterback and has a lot of upside. And the Giants do have like good position players. And the Broncos also have really good position players. The only thing that drags it down is Teddy Bridgewater, I think. So I would probably prefer the Giants side of this and then just bring it back with one of Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy or something like that. But we'll see how the pricing works out. I think the Giants are probably going to be super cheap. Daniel Jones, I imagine, is like 5,400 or some shit. And I think the Broncos are probably going to be super low too. So that game actually has like some sneaky upside, I think. Let's see. I don't know what wide receiver to take. Don't want to stack them with Darnold. I don't know, man. Darnold might end up being like better this year. I think every QB that gets away from Adam Gase ends up getting better. So I can't imagine that he's worse than he was last year. Robbie Anderson is good, and DJ Moore is good. You could even have him with CMC. Like, you could do Darnold, CMC, Robbie Anderson stack or something like that. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Having looked at pricing, I'll be 100% heavy on Chubb just because the leverage will be so massive. We'll take a look at that. I assume that Chubb is cheap. With there being over 1 million entries in the Million Maker, I feel like it's plus EV to game onslaught. No, I mean the EV doesn't really change on game onslaughts. It really just depends more on like. It's more about just like getting weird. Like in the Million Maker, you gotta get weird as fuck with 1 million entries, like super fucking wacky. So I don't know even what you're gonna need to do in the Million Maker in order to be like plus EV. That's gonna be a really hard contest to find EV in, I think. Without further ado, let's jump in and look at the pricing here. So first, let's take a look at QBs. All right. Patrick Mahomes is the most expensive on the slate. That makes sense, 8,100. Kyler Murray is second at 76, and then Josh Allen, and then Russell Wilson. So those are all the QBs above 7K. I'm surprised that Aaron Rodgers is not up there. MVP of the league last year, had an incredible fantasy season. Him being below Russell Wilson, I think, is weird. Russell Wilson, I do not think should be that high up there. I think the only reason why he is because the algorithm is picking up on his ADP and going up against Indianapolis. So I think Russell Wilson does not belong to be above Aaron Rodgers. Granted, they're very close to each other, but that's kind of weird. Into the 6K range, we've got Deshaun Watson still priced above. Deshaun Watson's probably not even going to fucking play week 1. Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, love that. Ryan Tannehill, 6,500, that's too cheap. Jalen Hurts, 6,400. I'll have some words about Jalen Hurts. Kirk Cousins, 6,300. Trevor Lawrence, 6,200. Ben Roethlisberger, 6,100. Matt Ryan, 6K. Okay, so in that range, Deshaun Watson being 6,900 is like, I mean, I get it, I guess, if he was going to be playing for sure. I get that, I guess. But, yeah, I don't like that. Aaron Rodgers, 6,800. I think that's a fantastic price. It's really, really good. That's way too cheap for Aaron Rodgers in this spot, especially since Jameis Winston was announced as starter. Justin Herbert, 6,700. Like I said, I really like the spot for the Chargers up against Washington football team. I think that's a really good spot overall. So I'm hoping to see some lower price on Donald Parham and Keenan Allen. Ryan Tannehill, 6,500. I'm interested in that game, but I think he's appropriately priced. Jalen Hurts, 6,400. So I don't know. I don't think that they trust Jalen Hurts. I don't think that they want to use Jalen Hurts. And so I don't think that they are developing a game plan that is going to be good enough for Jalen Hurts to consistently reach his ceiling. I think that Hurts came in and nobody had really tape on him and they didn't really know how to exploit his inefficiencies. So he ended up doing really, really well. And being a mobile quarterback, it's a lot easier to deal with the inefficiencies that he has. So his success last year isn't surprising, but I think that I would be surprised if he had the same level of success this year. Just because I don't think that Philly cares to build a game plan around him. I don't think that they're going to go the Lamar Jackson route and just be like, we're all in. Here's the thing that we want to do with this quarterback who can use his legs. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. So I'm a little worried about Jalen Hurts in this offense. And also, I don't respect the Eagles organization. I think they're jackasses. I think that they do a really, really bad job at talent evaluation. I think they're a really bad team in terms of utilizing the talent they have on their rosters, and I think they just don't buy into the people that they have. So, yeah, I'm pretty worried overall about Jalen Hurts. So 6,400, that might be a value, but it might be like $800 too much. Like, if teams had figured him out and the Eagles didn't work hard on really bolstering his strengths, then I think that can be pretty ugly. So 6,400, that might be some fool's gold. Kirk Cousins, 6,300, fine with that. I mean, it depends on how owned Dalvin Cook is. If Dalvin Cook is under-owned, then I want all the Dalvin Cook. But if he is relatively highly owned, I think Minnesota is in a pretty good spot. Trevor Lawrence, 6,200. It's Houston. They're going to be fucking trash. So, yeah, 6,200 is probably fine. He will be, if Trevor Lawrence is as good as people think that he is, he's going to be 7,500 by the end of the year. If Urban Meyer's not a jackass, he might suck. So we'll see. But 6,200, I think that's fine price. Ben Roethlisberger, 6,100, I also think that's fine price. And it'll be a good price on him until he's injured and contemplates retirement for the 7th year in a row, and doesn't play second half of the season. So it's a good price on him. If you think that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be healthy this year and you think that Pittsburgh is going to be able to compete, that's a hell of a price. And you should be jumping all over that in this Buffalo-Pittsburgh matchup, because if it does turn into being a huge shootout, which it can be if Roethlisberger is healthy, that's way too cheap for Roethlisberger, especially considering how expensive, like, Josh Allen's 7,400 and Ben Roethlisberger's 6,100. Like, that's a really, really nice price discrepancy in what should be a shootout. If Roethlisberger's healthy, I personally think the Roethlisberger is shot. I think that he's done. So I don't love the price on him, but If you think that's going to be a shootout, maybe I change my mind by the time that slate actually happens. And then Matt Ryan, 6K. I think that offense is going to suck. That Philly-Atlanta game might be a fucking barn burner, and I might just not be into it. Just because I think that Atlanta is going to be bad this year without Julio. I think that Philadelphia is going to be worse than advertised. That game's probably my favorite fade so far. But the prices make sense. Into this 5K range, we have Mayfield, Burrow, Wentz, Garoppolo, Fitzpatrick. Cam Newton has been cut. Tua, Tyrod Taylor at 5,300. That price is way more attractive than Deshaun Watson at 6,900. Daniel Jones at 5,300. Called it. Jameis Winston at 5,200. Wow. I'm going to be all over the Saints week 1. Like, absolutely fucking all over that. Jameis Winston at 5,200 is insulting. That's dumb. Like, Drew Brees would have been like 6,600 in this spot. And you're telling me that Jameis Winston does not have at least the same upside as Drew Brees? That's insanity. Jameis Winston, 5,200, is probably the most underpriced player that I have seen so far. Certainly the most underpriced quarterback as of right now. Jared Goff at 5,100 and Sam Darnold at 5K. Darnold is underpriced at 5K. Super, super cheap. Super cheap. So, yeah, Carolina stacks, sure. And then Zach Wilson at 5K as well. So both these guys being 5K, I think there's a lot of interest there. If you are stacking up some super, super expensive running backs or super expensive wide receivers, it's worth your time probably looking at that Carolina Jets game. The Jets very likely will be just the fucking worst. But, if they're not, if Zach Wilson is good and if Adam Gase is somehow not the worst, he's underpriced. And then as we drop down, Teddy Bridgewater's only 4,800. That's pretty nice, I think, up against the Giants. Like I said, I think that game is kind of sneaky. And then Mack Jones. Mack Jones 4,400. That is free. Mack Jones at 4,400 is free. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't necessarily think that I have a lot of interest in New England, but certainly think that like at that price, in cash games, maybe Mac Jones is probably like a lock. I don't want to say that yet, but Mac Jones 4,400. That's super cheap. So yeah, that's all the quarterbacks. I think that mostly like overpriced Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Jalen Hurts. I'm willing to say that. Underpriced, probably Baker Mayfield, and certainly Jameis Winston at 5,200. That's fucking wild. That's wild. Oh yeah, that's right. Gase is gone. It's still out. Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's just as bad. That's just as bad for that game. So yeah, certainly, Jameis Winston super underpriced. Random tangent, how much do I see myself playing head-to-heads this year? I really, really like head-to-heads in NFL. Because I think that like head-to-heads in cash games in general for NFL are really, really soft. And they are super easy to approach. Like, you don't even need projections for NFL. All you need is understanding where the chalk's going to be and understanding the ownership, and you can build competitive cash game lineups. I've had a lot of success. I have like a 67% win rate or something like that in cash games in NFL, so I think that it's probably a pretty good idea for me to continue to play them. That being said, I've dropped my volume quite a bit in MLB, and I don't know that I'm going to continue to have the same volume in NFL just because I'm a dad now, and I have like a site to run, and I have like all this other stuff to deal with. I don't know if I'll have the same equity in NFL, but I would really like to continue playing head-to-heads, and I would like to continue playing cash games for sure. Proxima, love the Winston play if you're gonna jam chalk running backs. Mega cheap stack with Winston, Kelly, Trotman. Yeah, I mean it's fucking. That is cheap. Cheap. Real cheap. All right, let's take a look at running backs. So, top running back overall, Christian McCaffrey and then Dalvin Cook. Those are the only running backs above 9K. Christian McCaffrey, priced appropriately, love to see it. Dalvin Cook, priced appropriately, also love to see it. 8K range, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's overpriced at 8K, for sure. Indianapolis might suck. Carson Wentz, I don't know if he's going to be healthy. They're missing Quentin Nelson, right, is his name, who's their like stud lineman. So that's a big drop, I think, to Jonathan Taylor as well in the running game in general. So don't like that price on Jonathan Taylor. In the 7K range, we have Sequon Barkley, 7,800. Wow, that price is fucking low. That price is really low for Sequon Barkley. Nick Chubb at 7,200. I think that's appropriate. Based on how Nick Chubb is able to get his fantasy points and based on the projected outcomes for that game, I think Nick Chubb at 7,200 probably makes a lot of sense. Then Austin Eckler at 7K. I think that's probably about right. They like to use multiple running backs for the Chargers. I don't think that it's just going to be Eckler's job. So even though I think he's probably going to have like 65% maybe of the snaps, I don't think he's going to have the huge like bell cow treatment. So I think 7K probably works. Indy got Quentin Nelson back? Did they? I didn't know that. Hold on. Oh, oops. Yeah, I'm Googling it because I didn't think they got him back yet. Oh, Quentin Nelson could be back on the field week 1. This is from yesterday. So Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson could be on the field week 1 or miss multiple games to open the Indianapolis 2021 campaign. First test comes Monday. Okay, yeah, so he'll play. I didn't think he was going to play. Wild. All right, cool. So that is better for Jonathan Taylor, but I still think probably a little bit overpriced. I don't like the Colts this year. Really don't. Looking at the 7K range, think Barkley is underpriced. He should be like 8,500 probably. I can't imagine that he's going to be all that hamstringed. Going into the 6K range, we have Deandre Swift. God, fuck no, dude. That is grossly overpriced for Deandre Swift. There's 0% chance that I am playing Deandre Swift 6,900 at home against San Francisco on a team that I think is trash. Proxima, if there's no threat of passing game in Indy, it's going to be really hard for Taylor to be able to exploit this matchup. Yeah, I just think that if that team just sucks, I don't want to play a running back from a team that I think is not good. Aaron Jones, 6,800. That's a really good price. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 6,600. I think that's far underpriced. He should be like 7,500, I would think. Miles Sanders, 6,500. That's probably appropriate. James Robinson at 6,400. James Robinson is going to be chalk. He's going to be really, really chalky at 6,400. And he should be. Because Houston, not only were they trash last year defensively against the run, but they should be the worst team in the league this year. They shouldn't be competitive at all. Jacksonville should be able to just do whatever they want. James Robinson going to be massive chalk at 6,400. I thought he was going to be like 7,500, but 6,400 is really, that's underpriced. That's super underpriced. So really, really think that James Robinson, he's going to be super popular, but I think deservedly so. Dropping into Najee Harris. I don't understand the hype on Harris. I think Pittsburgh is going to be bad. I think that Pittsburgh always wants to use multiple running backs. They have shown us that since Le'Veon Bell left. They have not had any running back just be like the guy. So I'm not in on him. I think 6,300 is actually a pretty good price, though. Maybe a little bit overpriced. I would price him like 58, 5,900. Joe Mixon, 6,200. That is grossly underpriced if he ends up getting the receiving work that we saw towards the back end of last year. And Myles Gaskin at 6K. I don't know. Miami has multiple running backs now, don't they? They have a bunch of guys they might use. I don't think that I'm sold on Myles Gaskin at 6K. CH has to be the biggest leverage on the slate. I don't know about the biggest leverage, but he will be very nice leverage. I can't imagine he'll be higher than like 5% owned. Jumping down in the 5,900 range, Chris Carson. This is a nice price. Chris Carson at 5,900 is really, really nice. That's pretty underpriced. He's 6,600, 6,700 or so on like his regular workload, so I think we're getting a pretty good discount on him. Antonio Gibson at 5,900. I think that is appropriate. David Johnson at 5,700. Probably a little overpriced. Kareem Hunt, 5,500. That's appropriate. Mike Davis, 5,400. That might be underpriced, but I think that Atlanta kind of sucks, so it's probably about right. Melvin Gordon, 53. Damian Harris, 52. J.D. McKissick, 51. Sure. All those, sure. We're kind of getting into, like, these guys just don't make sense. Or like, all of these guys just don't matter. Tevin Coleman doesn't matter. Itine is IR. Sony Michel, 4,800, probably a little underpriced, but also not usable in GBPs. Singletary at 4,700. Buffalo never used their running backs, doesn't matter. Philip Lindsay, 4,700, doesn't matter. Zach Moss doesn't matter. Chase Edmonds at 4,600 is super duper cheap. Is he? Oh my God, he's the RB1 for Arizona, and he's that cheap? That's really, really cheap. Yeah, I really like that. 4,600, like, Chase Edmonds ends up getting, like, a pretty decent amount of the market share there. I understand that James Conner is there at 4,500, but, like, whoever you think is going to be the lead back, and I think it'll be Chase Edmonds, that, like, if you want to use Chase Edmonds or James Conner, they are both really, really underpriced there. I really like that a lot. Jamal Williams, 4,500. If he's the starter, cash games, I guess. Mark Ingram, James White. Yeah, we're getting into guys that don't matter at all. Okay, so as far as the running backs go, I really like the pricing. I don't think that it's all that bad. Like, Sequon Barkley is underpriced. James Robinson is far underpriced. He's like 1,000 underpriced. Chris Carson is probably about 800 underpriced. So those are probably the three guys that I have the most interest in. We'll have to monitor things and try to figure out this Chase Edmonds, James Conner situation. But my guess is Chase Edmonds is going to be one of the best values on the slate and probably like a cash game staple. Let's see. Gaskin is such a hard one to figure out season long and DFS. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those situations where I think you have to avoid. Like, if you're doing best balls and you have to make a choice, if you have one best ball or if you have one redraft, right, for season long, I just think you have to avoid it. And, like, hope that somebody else chooses Gaskin either too early or too late, and then you just run the waiver wire on it. I think that's the best way to do it. And if you have one best ball, just don't even take the risk. There's no reason to, because even if you get Gaskin right, and he ends up with like 55 or 60% of the market share, he's not winning you shit, right? Like, he's not. And if you get him wrong, then you're screwed in best balls. So it just kind of seems like a pretty easy avoid. The Texans could be playing Bishop Sycamore and they wouldn't start David Johnson. That's funny. I don't even really want to talk about the Texans. They're going to be so fucking trash. Kind of like Aaron Jones. Yeah, Aaron Jones is not the worst option. 6,800. Aaron Jones has legit 40 fantasy point upside, but Green Bay, like, Aaron Rodgers has the Green Bay organization by the nuts. He's going to do whatever he wants. He's going to call whatever play he wants in the red zone, and most of the time, Aaron Rodgers, he just wants a play where he gets to throw a passing touchdown to pad his stats. So that's always the thing with Green Bay. Like, it's super hard to use Aaron Jones with any confidence because Aaron Rodgers just wants to throw touchdowns all day long. But yeah, I think the pricing for running backs pretty efficient. Not that bad. Let's take a look really quick at wide receivers and kind of get things going a little bit faster here because I need to go eat dinner. Devontae Adams, 8,300, good price. Tyreek Hill, 8,200, good price. Fine with both those. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, and Adam Thielen. Look at all those fucking questionables. Look at those question marks. None of those guys are surprising. I don't think. Keenan Allen at 6,900. That's a really, really nice price. Just reaffirms my love of Charger stacks for sure. Julio Jones 6,800. Depending on what happens with that weed situation, which is fucking crazy by the way. If you haven't looked that up, look up Julio Jones in the weed situation. Tyler Lockett, sure. Terry McLaurin 6,400. That's a bit underpriced, I think. Deontay Johnson at 6,300 is actually really nice. So that is one thing that I will say. As we are looking at the pricing, the Pittsburgh stack is way underpriced. It's super underpriced. If you think that Ben Roethlisberger is healthy, and I think you have to take a shot on him at these prices, it's way underpriced. I really like something like Ben Roethlisberger, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and bring it back with Stephon Diggs. Like, that's a really, really good stack. A lot of upside because there could legitimately be 80 passing attempts in that game. If it ends up shooting out, because they will let Ben Roethlisberger throw 40 times. They will let Josh Allen throw 40 times. So there's a lot of upside there. That's probably looking like one of my favorite stacks. That in New Orleans. Just wanted to say that really quick. Jumping back in, we have DJ Moore 6,100, Jarvis Landry at 6K. Where is OBJ? Oh my God, OBJ is 5,400 and healthy. Okay. Deebo Samuel looks slightly underpriced, 5,900, but with Kittle there and with Ayuk there, I mean, that offense is going to be hard to deal with. DJ Chark, 5,800, that's about right. Robbie Anderson, 5,700, about right. Kenny Golladay is really cheap, 5,600. He's going to be the alpha there. So, like I said, that Denver-New York Giants game could be a little sneaky. Mike Williams, 5,500, fine with that. Maybe a little overpriced. OBJ 5,400, way underpriced. He's the first wide receiver that I have seen that is way underpriced. When OBJ is healthy and in a spot like this up against Kansas City, like he's $700 wide receiver at least. This pricing is based off of last year and like ADP and stuff like that. So certainly think that this price is just wrong. A Cleveland stack would probably make a lot of sense against Kansas City. Russell Gage, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Boyd, Cortland Sutton, 5,200. Man, that is cheap. Cheap. Really cheap in that Denver-New York Giants game. Jacoby Myers, 5,100 is probably a really nice price. I could see a Mack Jones, Jacoby Myers stack being important in cash games for week one, just because the pricing allows you to do so much with the chalk running backs. Chenault sucks and is 5K, and that makes sense. Corey Davis only 4,900. This is going to be a really interesting situation. He had a significant market share in the preseason when he played. So at 4,900, it is so cheap to stack this Jets-Carolina game that you might end up doing it from the Carolina side and just bringing it back with Corey Davis. I could see that. Traquan Smith is so cheap, man. Isn't practicing Monday. Yeah, so that New Orleans stack is going to be fucking crazy. Where even is Marquez Callaway? Is he that cheap? Wow, he's 3,400. He's 3,400. Oh, I'm going to have so many New Orleans stacks. That's so gross. Okay. So, I mean, like, as we're going down this list, Jerry Jeudy, Jamal Crowder, Will Smith if he's healthy, but he's out, right? Like, out? No, he's participating. Will Smith is way too cheap. I don't think that there's anything else that really matters all that much. Emmanuel Sanders might be too cheap, depending on if you think that him or Cole Beasley ends up being the wide receiver 2. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders has been the wide receiver 2 everywhere that he's gone. So, Fuller's suspended week 1? Word. Yeah. AJ Green is maybe way too cheap, depending on what happens with him in there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is way too cheap, 3,700. I can say that with confidence. Yeah, some pretty interesting pricing. Like, fucking Marquez Callaway is 3,400. That's so dumb. Okay, so the main wide receiver that I see that's underpriced is Odell Beckham Jr. mostly. I think that outside of that, like, pricing pretty much makes sense. Keenan Allen has a pretty good price. OBJ, 5,400. I think that the Steelers are too cheap. Deontay Johnson, 6,300 is way too cheap. So, some pretty interesting spots there. Let's move on to tight end and then wrap things up. Because I'm not going to go over defenses because I don't care about them. Travis Kelce, 8,300. Good. Awesome. Even though, honestly, that's probably a little too expensive. George Kittle at 6,300, probably priced correctly. Like, Travis Kelce at 8,300 is too much. He's overpriced there. Even if you want to stack Kansas City, he's overpriced. Hawkinson at 4,900. God, the pricing tiers are just trash for fucking tight ends. You drop down, Travis Kelce is twice as expensive as fucking Noah Fant, who's like the 8th highest priced tight end. That's dumb. Hunter Henry, 4,700. Logan Thomas, 4,600. I think Logan Thomas is priced pretty well. Kyle Pitts, 4,400. Chalk. Super fucking chalk. 4,400, Kyle Pitts, chalk. Chalk. Noah Fant, 4,300. That's a pretty good price. Robert Tonyan is underpriced, 4,200. I like him as another piece of a Green Bay stack. Because like Green Bay, New Orleans is the best game to stack, and that's super obvious at this point. Johnny Smith, Austin Hooper. Eric Ebron is a little bit underpriced. I think that Donald Parham is going to beat out Jared Cook. Zach Ertz, I think, is going to have an actual role. So 3,800 is probably a little bit too cheap, but he's probably not usable either. Chris Herndon just got traded to the Vikings, so 3,300 is too cheap for him, I think. Donald Parham Jr., 3,100. Okay, yeah, then you get down here and it's just like, what the fuck ever. Hey, Tim Tebow's only 2,500. Yeah, okay, so the main takeaway here is Travis Kelce is overpriced. After that, like, Kyle Pitts is going to be super chalk, 4,400, I think, and Hawkinson is only 4,900, and people are going to be super into that. So, takeaways before we wrap this up. I think that Green Bay, New Orleans is the best stack so far. I don't know how projections will shake out, but that's where I have the most interest as of now. I think Pittsburgh is underpriced. I think that, let's see, what else did I think was underpriced? Oh, New Orleans is just like grossly underpriced. You can do whatever you want if you stack New Orleans, and it's like the best stack on the entire slate. Cleveland is a pretty good stack, I think. Bring it back with either Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, just because Cleveland is pretty underpriced. And Carolina and New York, that's a really, really cheap game stack if you wanted to do that. So mostly I think the pricing is pretty good overall. I didn't see any super, super, super glaring values at running back, which is really nice. I think James Robinson will be super chalk, but he deserves to be at 6,400. I'm probably going to have projections up in the next couple days. So subscribers over at Paydirt, we'll get those very soon. And I'm going to be streaming more and more and more as we go into the NFL season. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to hit me up with questions, always you can hit me up on Twitter, or you can hit me up in the subscriber Discord, or whatever. I'm always around. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna go eat some dinner. Hope you guys have a good night. Thanks a lot.